Welcome to No Script, No Problem on Believe, the #1 podcast network for professionals. I'm your host, Steve Berkowitz, and as always, we'll be diving into the world of filmmaking and the ever-changing landscape of the entertainment industry, no matter how bleak it is. And we've got a packed show for you today. Before we get to our special guests, here is your reality check. First up, as expected, Comcast is spinning off several of its cable networks into a new company, and this is sending shockwaves throughout the news, media, finance, and entertainment industries.
Comcast announced its intention to spin off its cable networks into a new publicly traded company comprised of some of NBC Universal's best-known brands like MSNBC, E, and CNBC.
Comcast had announced on its quarterly call in late October that it was considering this venture. This all comes at a time when those brands are facing the same cost-cutting challenges as many other cable networks and the media at large.
NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung joins us now with more. Brian, we will just be transparent and say we all have a lot of questions.
We do.
As people who work here. But what do we know at this point? And tell us kind of what it means for the networks that we mentioned that would be in this spinoff.
Yeah, so you mentioned MSNBC, CNBC, and also E, but I want to add that it also includes Sci-Fi, the Golf Channel, Oxygen, USA as well. Those brands would be spun off into a separate company. It would be a separate publicly traded company that has its own stock symbol. Current shareholders of Comcast would remain holders of Comcast, but they would also get shares in this new company.
Currently called SpinCo, they got to get a new name for that. This marks a significant shift in the media landscape. Bravo and Telemundo will remain with parent companies Comcast and NBC. Bravo, of course, has franchises like The Housewives and Below Deck, which are very valuable to the streamer Peacock. The spinoff raises questions about the long-term viability of cable networks in an increasingly digital world. The fact that Bravo is not being spun off into this new company suggests Comcast sees value for Peacock in retaining its entertainment-focused cable IP like the Housewives franchise and the Below Deck franchise. Housewives and Below Deck series both do well on Peacock, so that makes a great deal of sense. By placing MSNBC and CNBC on this cable island, if you will, this move might signal a trend of major conglomerates divesting from traditional news operations, which could lead to further consolidation in the news industry or the emergence of new independent news entities. As we've seen across many surveys, a lot of folks are going to places like Instagram or TikTok for their news anyway. They're trusting news influencers as places to get their news. Look for this SpinCo to buy other cable companies or for some of them to get scooped up. Either way, I would say buckle up.
One of my sources very close to the situation said, this isn't the end, this is the beginning, indicating here that in spinning off these cable networks, what Comcast is doing with this new co or this SpinCo is they're putting it in a situation where it could make meaningful acquisitions of other channels. I'm told by sources that we should expect there to be a lot of conversations about Warner Brothers Discovery, maybe looking to sell off some of its assets, the idea that some of those channels would fit well with this SpinCo. And then after that, maybe look at Stars, which is separating out from Lionsgate. That could be paired in here, AMC networks as well. So there are plenty of different cable networks that could be combined here. We could even see Paramount, which is going through its own management transition, sell some of those assets. But the question here is, what else does this company acquire? How do they try to squeeze out as much revenue as possible from these linear networks? And then what do they do with them from a digital perspective in terms of streaming? And then also, what do they do in terms of non-television revenues or non-TV or streaming revenues?
Next up, Lionsgate Alternative Television is the latest business to be hit with layoffs. The unscripted TV arm of the studio, which is behind series such as Discovery's Naked and Afraid and Dirty Jobs, began a round of firings on Wednesday. Deadline reports that it's hitting E1's US label with 3 of their top execs departing. As we've discussed in detail, the unscripted TV sector has been hit hard by budget cuts, and with the cable contraction, much fewer reality TV shows are being made. So This is not a huge surprise. But while Lionsgate is busy firing folks from their reality TV division, just a few months back, the company signed a partnership with AI company Runway, signaling a significant move to support the controversial technology with a company that is being sued for stealing content. The partnership with Runway, well known for its AI-powered video editing tools, indicates a push towards more efficient and potentially cost-effective production methods. It also kind of keeps Lionsgate in the press. Here is how Runway sees the deal, which is a huge opportunity for the company.
The idea behind it really is to take the Lionsgate team further with the technology. Like, we're at the crossing point where AI is becoming really useful for filmmaking. And so what we really want to make sure is that we help creatives, filmmakers, artists, studios really understand how to use it in the best way possible. And so what we did with Lionsgate, it's, I think, something we've been trying to do for a long time, basically to bridge the gap between AI and Hollywood and bring this technology in much more accessible ways.
However, this decision raises concerns about, one, job security in the entertainment industry, and two, the increasing role of AI in creative processes, which can limit human beings' creativity. While AI tools can potentially speed up certain aspects of pre-production, production, and post, they also pose challenges to traditional roles in the industry. It's a delicate balance between innovation and maintaining the human touch that is crucial in storytelling and content creation. Regardless, folks in entertainment must deal with AI. As just this week, an AI entertainment studio called Promise emerged. Promise is focused on using artificial intelligence for various aspects of content creation, such as script analysis, visual effects, or even generating story ideas. They are backed by Andreessen Horowitz, which is a massive VC backing numerous companies. AI is being utilized in various aspects of production, from storyboarding and pitch decks to visual effects and editing. Obviously, however, when we get to using actual AI outputs or generations, the question remains, where's the footage coming from? What are the models being trained on, and who owns this content? Are these companies like OpenAI or Google or Anthropic or Runway, are they stealing material? Are they stealing footage from creators who own this content? That's the big question. AI also raises concerns about job displacement and the potential homogenization of creative content as AI is built on past materials. The challenge for the industry will be to harness the benefits of AI while maintaining the human creativity and storytelling that are at the heart of entertainment and have built the culture for over 100 years. As AI continues to evolve, it will be crucial for industry professionals to adapt and find ways to work alongside this technology rather than be replaced by it. Here's actor Joseph Gordon-Levitt talking about his concerns with AI in the entertainment industry.
If you look at what makes money and what drives numbers on any given platform, YouTube, TikTok, Netflix, etc., it's not all great art. Unfortunately, or fortunately, or for better or worse, that's just the truth of what makes money. And so when we task these AIs not to make great art, but to make money on content, I do think that unfortunately they'll start outperforming human creators soon enough, and they will flood our culture with mind-numbing but highly addictive, highly effective content. And if we don't get ahead of that flood, we're going to drown in it.
All this leads to our interview for this week. I was lucky enough to be a part of a conversation last month about AI in entertainment with Aisha Corpas Wynn, one half of the AI Chicks, as well as Chad Reynolds, CEO of AI company Verve, and Sarah Nagle, co-host of the podcast AI Powered by People, which is produced by me. Aisha Corpas Wynn is a powerhouse in the entertainment industry with over a decade of experience as an executive producer and multi-platform content strategist. Along with co-hosting the AI Chicks, Aisha is the creator, co-executive producer of VH1's am married to a ... and A&E's Flipping Miami. With the AI Chicks, which I encourage everybody to listen to. You can find it on any of your favorite places to listen to podcasts. Aisha brings a unique blend of creative talent, production skills, and tech acumen to the table. Chad Reynolds is a serial entrepreneur who now is focused on his company, Verve, which is all about making AI agents. Listen to the show to learn all about agents. Sarah Nagle works with Chad at Verve as an expert in research and marketing. Together, they co-host the AI Powered by People podcast. Definitely check that out. All right, let's get to our chat now about AI and entertainment.
So Aisha, we're excited to have you here today. We have a lot to talk about. So we've got lots of questions, and then we have a quiz at the end that we're all going to take. So first, we'd love to hear a little bit about you. You're an executive producer, and you also host a podcast about AI. Tell us about yourself and why AI.
Yeah. Like, how did those two happen? Yes, I know, right?
Yeah.
So, yes, by trade, sort of, my 9 to 5, I'm an executive producer. I pretty much worked my way up the entertainment ladder, from interning to production assistants on, sets, went into the development side of things at big studios like New Line Cinema, who's known for like doing Lord of the Rings and those sort of blockbuster films. It was like the perfect boot camp at New Line Cinema of learning how to develop a lot of different types of forms of content. I happened to be working in a division where we were building out other spin-offs of their IP. So they were primarily known for feature films, but I was part of a division that was taking their IP of feature films and finding other ways to expand that IP. So because of that, I got really lucky and blessed at a very early stage in my career where I was developing and being a part of production and building a network in the industry for feature films, TV, scripted, unscripted, as well as animation. And at the time, I didn't realize how rare that was. I was like, oh, everybody knows how to, produce and develop and sell everything. I didn't know that was a very unique aspect of the industry. Because I built this vast experience and vast network in the entertainment world, me and a friend of mine at the time from New Line decided to start and launch our own production company. And because of our experience and relationships within our first year, we developed and sold and executive produced 3 shows within our first year to like VH1, A&E, and OWN/Discovery Studios. And at that time, people were just like, okay, who are these new kids on the block? And how are they like having different types of projects all over the marketplace? And that's when we really learned like, oh, if you're, a lot of directors, filmmakers, producers, they normally, like if they're doing business with HBO, they have a lot of projects with HBO. Or if they're known as a comedy writer or a comedy producer, they do a lot of comedy programming. So this is all going to make full sense. This is all going to come in full circle and make sense in a second. But basically, I like to give this backdrop about my career because once I had that, in my 20s, I was already had a successful production company and had created shows, sold shows with a lot of different platforms and in a lot of different forms of types of content. And so from there, more opportunities started coming my way to produce podcasts and work with celebrities. And over time, I ended up building out this specialty as a producer and a development executive of being a multi-platform producer. And from the success of that production company with my business partner, eventually rolled that over into my own production company known as A Win-Win Production. My business partner at the time actually became a very successful tech VC. So as we were having this successful production company entertainment arm, I was always in the circles with tech CEOs, tech startups around, new launching tech products. So my world was always straddling between entertainment and new media and tech. I ended up moving on into running my own production company, also executive producing and running Anthony Anderson's production company, who's, known as a very celebrity top actor from Blackish and Law and Order. And then from there, I started executive producing and developing for Macro Studios, that's known for, Judas and the Black Messiah. So this all just continued to escalate and evolve in the executive producing side. And the synergy around that was I was always working with people, or my name always came up with people and companies and celebrities that were looking for someone who could develop and produce different types of genres. And so that really became my specialty. Now, all along as that, my 9 to 5 in my career is evolving and escalating, and I'm part of Emmy nominated, series and things like that. I always still had this circle of tech bros that were my friends, in my real life in IRL. And I always had this affinity for tech, computer programming, things of that nature. And so while I was like producing a TV series, and I'll produce a TV series and then it would be airing on a platform, and then I would also create and design the website for it and be a part of that as well. And so that became, really unheard of in our entertainment field. Producers and feature film producers and podcast producers are not creating and producing the content, and then also talking about what the app looks like or designing the website. So I was always straddling between what I was really good at creatively, logistically in my career, but then this side passion and my true circle of friends that were always across the tech and media space. And so in my circle in the tech side, I was seeing a lot of them really double down on AI. And so when really successful tech VCs and tech CEOs are like, yo, we really got to jump on this AI thing, and we really got to start paying more attention to this years ago, I was like, well, if y'all are paying attention to it, then I really got to double down and pay attention to it. So I took it upon myself to start studying it more, getting certified in it. At that time, really only like Google, IBM, Microsoft, like the tech companies were the ones that were providing courses, workshops, and certifications. So I was studying it and getting certified in AI through that vehicle and that process. And then obviously ChatGPT came out, and then a lot more other forms of education and other brands and other companies are offering workshop courses, things of that nature. But my interest in it truly was because that was part of my real social circle and my personal passion outside of just entertainment. And so a funny little cute meet cute movie terms of how I ended up with the AI chicks. One of my other best friends, Lana Hout, she is one of the top female business brokers in the country. She too was also noticing and understanding in the business landscape that AI was becoming more and more of a factor. So she was also studying it. And as best friends, we're getting together for brunch, we're doing rosés all day, and then we're talking about AI, and us two best friends geeking out on AI over rosé was just like an interesting, clash of worlds. We would go to AI events, tech events, that our friends were inviting us to because that was our natural circle of friends. And then we were like the outliers that spoke their language, but didn't have the same personalities and didn't have the same reference point. And I realized with my executive producer hat on, I was like, wait, we've been talking about AI for years. We've been up on the AIT, and we're in these AI spaces. Our friends that we are talking to all the time are working at Anduril, working for Palantir, working at Google. Like, why don't we also do a podcast that is bridging the communication gap? Because in our professional world, we were seeing people did not understand AI, but in our personal world and in our social world, we were speaking that language. So we decided to launch the AI Chicks that we released earlier this year. And we did it purely out of fun and as a hobby that then quickly gained some recognition and some notoriety. Obviously, because I do producing for a living, so I was going to make sure the quality was great. And we brought in our high-level celebrity friends and tech relationships to be guests, because those are the people we would hang out with and talk to about anyways. And within our first 2-3 months of being released, we got selected as a Webby honoree for being one of the best tech podcasts this year. So it's now taken on a life of its own. And we didn't realize it at the time that we too were AI experts, but just from a different lens. And we are really using our passion, our personal studies, our certifications, and our relationships to bridge the gap between the tech world and the everyday people.
How are you using AI, and what kind of like software are you using in development right now, in production and in post?
So there are a lot of stages of where I'm personally using AI in my business side, and even our podcast is fully AI powered. And then there is the entertainment sector where there are a lot of areas that we are utilizing AI. And then there are areas in which there are great tools that are not being widely used, but that I like people to know about. And so I'll cover a quick array of them, but I literally have done full AI workshops at studios to TV divisions and film divisions about all the different AI tools that you can use in the development stage, in production, in post, when it comes to music and audio to animation. So there's a whole bevy of AI tools that you can use at the different stages of when you're producing content, no matter if it's a podcast, a feature film, or a TV series. But just to give you some quick tidbits. So obviously, the entry point for everyone is usually the NLPs or the LLMs, right? So and generative AI tools. So it's everything from ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, Claude. The list goes on there. And I like to encourage people to use that for research. I really tend to use that for research. And then obviously there are the tools that you can use during the creative development process, especially in the scripted world. There's a lot more tools for doing coverage of scripts, or running the script through a database in a program where it can output a budget, day of days, schedule production, things of that nature. So for example, script book is something that you can use to do script coverage, where like film stage is something that you can use where you input the script and then it will churn out your shooting schedule and your sort of like break down a high level of the budget. So these are things that I've been using, that I'm already using, that I really use as a starting point and a framework. It doesn't replace hiring a line producer, where these platforms really aren't there just yet. People think that they are there, but you still, it's sort of like a fast forward button or a quick time management optimization and effectiveness to skip a couple of the early steps, and then you bring the line producer in, or the showrunner, the director in, to really start getting into the nuts and bolts of things. A couple of other examples that I like to highlight is even for location scouting, ChatGPT, Gemini can be good for just location scouting or suggestions, but there's also AI platforms like Luma that is specific for location scouting. Obviously, our industry in editing, there's the standards, right? You got Adobe Premiere, you got Final Cut, you got Avid. Now, these platforms are naturally incorporating AI features and AI magic, because everyone loves to use the word magic in the AI industry these days. But they're incorporating these features into their software. So my editors are really truly the same editors I've been working with. They're just early adopters like myself. And so they started learning and playing with and trying out the AI features within a Premiere. And I would just say this, I'm not sponsored or branded by them at all, but Adobe is doing a phenomenal job of churning out AI features and enhancing the capabilities of what you can do with their platform in a very efficient way. Another one that is like killing it out the gate with AI features is Canva. For anyone who has to do presentations, Canva, I feel like every other day is rolling out a new AI feature that then allows you to amp up and up your game of what your presentation material looks like. And I'll tell you a little insight or note is the pitch material, the presentation material that I'm seeing from directors, producers, even just influencers, their presentation material is looking top notch compared to other people, and you can tell who is using AI and who's not, because I like their sizzle reels, their trailers, even if it's a mock mood board, even if it's a mock storyboard, it's a blowing some of the other presentations out of the water. And other people who are not being early adopters or testing out AI, they don't realize it because they're so used to seeing their tried and true presentation from years ago and don't realize that, like, oh, someone literally just pitched me a podcast with a website that looks so high caliber with animations and graphics and motion capturing. Like, just the level of what AI is able to do for creators and bringing their vision to light is super strong. Lastly, another cool thing that I love to geek out on, that I talk about all the time on my podcast, outside of podcasts, just all the time, because I think it's an industry game changer, is dubbing and lip syncing capabilities like Flawless. So what they're doing is you can take your content, dub it into different languages, and then it match lip syncs the actors and the video to that language. So imagine a independent filmmaker who only can do a film in Spanish, or only can do a film or their project in English. Now they can reach a much wider market, because now someone in Vietnam can watch it in their language, and the actors or the people on camera are mouthing looks like they're speaking Vietnamese. Like that just helps the engagement of reaching a global market. You know, it's just it's a game changer, and we're just in the beginning of it. So as you can see, I'm very excited about the capabilities that are available when it comes to film and TV.
That's awesome. So Aisha, one of the things we like to do on this pod is just like explore the boundaries of what things are. And it seems like they're changing on a daily or weekly basis of, things we weren't comfortable with AI doing, a year ago. Like take the George Carlin special, right? Which,
yes.
And if that was done in a different way today, is that now in bounds? So I'm just curious, as you are, as you're kind of in the underbelly of the industry and also producing things, what are some of the things that you're seeing that are in those gray zones right now, and how do you see that shifting?
Well, I think there's still a uncomfortable nature, and there's still a bit of fear baiting, as we all know. And obviously there's bias and ethic issues as well. Like I definitely embrace the pros and the cons of AI in our space, copyright issues, all of those things. So even though I just went on this crazy rant about all the tools I love, there are some other, there's some yellow, red, orange, purple flags about all of these things as well. So I'm not overlooking that. But in regards to the temperament around these things, I think that's truly where the blurred lines are. It's who's behind it, and if the people behind it truly have the rights and signed off on the process of what is happening, right? And even with the public, there's certain things that they are embracing about AI, generative AI content being used in experiences. And then others, they're like wanting to, send everyone to detention or like cancel them, right? So there's this interesting blurred lines. That's not, it is a double standard. Like, it's not even all the time. And I would say that where I'm noticing people being more receptive to it, when it feels as though the people behind it have the rights to do it and are embracing it, and they feel like this is the best way for them to embrace it. I know that, for example, I feel that more people were more receptive to it. I'm blanking it on the film, but I think there was a recent movie where they didn't want to send the actor into hair and makeup for 2 hours to age the actor. And so they used AI to age the actor, and there was no uproar about that, right? So I think those are areas where it's on the spectrum of what people were willing to understand and tolerate. But again, the irony is that there had to be a PR spin on it so that the public knew. Like, the fact that I even know that is interesting, because they have to do these spins and these narratives to justify when they're using AI. And our industry wasn't normally like that. And so then there's other scenarios where certain brands are just releasing fully AI generated ads and commercials. And then people are going against it and feeling like, oh, that probably took an actor's job or that took a writer's job, things of that nature. So I think that there's this interesting blend of there are certain companies who are financially able to take the risk of trying out, fully generative AI content. And then there are other scenarios and other studios who are using it with caution and when they feel like it's justified. One of the other things I also like to highlight is obviously our industry experienced a lot of strikes, and a big factor were the AI parameters around their industry and the guild. I think that one of the things that they didn't fully take into consideration is if you put those limitations around AI or around what can be used and what cannot be used, the ripple effect that it could have with other business decisions that the studios might make. And I think we're seeing a little bit of that now. The industry is consolidating, the industry is pulling back, and I think that some of the consequences, some of the changes that we're seeing in the industry now has to do with because of some of the parameters and the limitations that we put around AI.
Aisha, what impacts do you think the tools and kind of within your industry will impact human creativity?
I think that it can do twofold of things. Obviously, it can, in one way, enhance and decentralize access of capabilities. And what I mean by that is, there are independent filmmakers who are able to do things now with AI that they would have never been able to do because they didn't have the resources and they didn't have the capital to do it. But now their film can have scenes that look like it's in Paris without having the budget of flying and shooting in Paris, right? So for indie filmmakers, indie creators, even influencers and content creators, you're seeing their capabilities of the types, the quality and the quantity of content that they're able to put out there is, they have more resources and more capabilities than they've had ever before. And just technology does that across the board because we have access to cell phones, because we have access to digital cameras, we're able to do way more now than we were previous era. And the same thing is happening with AI. I think that on the flip side, though, there can become this desensitization to creative diversity because AI is built off of pre-existing data. So if you're only relying on pre-existing data, then there are certain things that humans bring, which is like new ideas, new ingenuity, new innovation that doesn't already exist. Right. So I think that there is this dynamic of we can create new things that don't exist with AI, but then in a weird, like, theoretical form, it could also limit new ideas because now we're working in this framework based off of pre-existing data. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm trying not to get too techie with it.
I really enjoyed the episode that you did with Neil Mant because I've met Neil, brilliant guy, but I was really shocked by how many jobs he talked about are going to be lost. Editors, writers, producers, like he really went in on the amount of jobs. I always feel like the storytelling is what will always exist. It's impossible to write your favorite movie, a Pulp Fiction, or I just saw Beetlejuice. An AI is not going to write that movie, right? It's not going to write Breaking Bad or Ozark. But hearing him talk about losing editors, that you're going to be able to, he used Housewives as the example, that you're going to have an AI that's able to just cut the next Housewives. How are you kind of feeling about that ability of trusting an AI to cut one of your shows?
Yeah. So, and Steve, you were just, mentioning exactly what I was alluding to in my previous answer about like, there's these outliers, these sort of like the first film to do this, or the first, special effects and all of that. So it's like, there is some limitations when you're relying on AI for everything, and it's purely based off of data. When you're looking to generate something that has never been done before, you really do need that human ingenuity and innovation. So I love that you gave that example, because that's exactly where I still feel that there is room for humanity when it comes to creativity and technology. But in going back to, yes, our very interesting and riveting episode with Neil, we were fully taken back, and that episode went way longer. I mean, we had a little mini debate about like, are editors really going to be annihilated? Because I still stand on, we're still going to need editors. I definitely feel though that assistant editors are out, and so he's definitely on a more I want to use the right word here. Sorry, Neil, but I'm going to say extreme. He's definitely more on the extreme end.
I was going to use the word apocalyptic.
Yeah. Neil, I still love you. We got to have you back on the podcast. But he was definitely more on the extreme end for the AI chicks. We were definitely taken back by some of the predictions and statistics that he felt would happen. And it wasn't the fact that he was saying it was going to happen in general. It was the fact that he was saying it was going to happen like 2 to 3 years. I think that was the other thing that was taking us back, is the predictive measure of the timeline around how fast things were going to change and how drastically things were going to change. And that was where we did not see eye to eye. However, some of the things that he is mentioning are possible and probable, like over time. And there were some factors of like, hey, with certain projects like a reality show, after you've done season 1 or 2 and you see the formula with that data, could you ingest that into a AI editor, and moving forward, it understands the formula and has the data to just edit raw episodes moving forward for the rest of the other seasons? From a tech standpoint, that is possible, and that definitely could become a norm for certain platforms and for certain production companies. And so there's an aspect to what he is saying that does make sense. However, I think that there also just is this nuance that a human eye and human ingenuity brings to creativity that you can't replace, no matter how advanced your AI humanoid is. And so I think that there is that, essence, that why I still believe that even in those processes, you would still potentially have 1 or 2 senior editors or post supervisor types that are doing their sort of quality control. Like, despite all of the capabilities that AI has, you still want there to be some sort of human oversight on things before it hits the public. Because if that goes awry, then you're dealing with liability. That the company, whether it's an AI startup or an entertainment firm, there is a liability that comes into play if that AI generates or edits or outputs something that becomes harmful or has defamation, or there's so many factors that can come into play, especially when you're dealing with a reality show and or a scripted series or feature film. So I personally think that specifically with his example of editing, there is going to be a drastic downsize in the middlemen of jobs, but that we will still need senior executives, senior supervisors, and those types of individuals once the AI tools and can fully do those types of capabilities. We're just not fully there yet. In addition, I do think that there's certain types of other roles that are going to also see a consolidation or an elimination. We at the AI Chicks, we have this thing called the AI Asians. We're like, there's optimization, monetization, elimination, consolidation, all the Asians. And so I do think that like those types of things are going to happen in a lot of the support level and middle management jobs, because a lot of those jobs have sort of like responsibilities and tasks that can be automated. And then what you want to do is utilize those those middle management and middle producers sort of true skill sets to other things. So I think that, there is a chance that at one point we won't be seeing, human personal assistants, executive assistants. I don't think that we're going to have paralegals anymore. A lot of law firms already, and we talk about this in our AI and law, like a lot of law firms already getting rid of paralegals. So even when you think about that in an entertainment scope, a lot of entertainment firms have business affairs. There's a lot of legal that comes into play. Now they won't need those middle people. All they will need is just kind of like their senior business affairs executives. And also marketing. AI is killing the game in digital marketing, SEO, digital, creating small forms of generative AI video. I mean, everyone was Sora. The announcement of Sora changed a lot of heavy players' strategies and business models, but Sora is not, you're not using Sora for an hour film. You're using Sora for 3-minute videos, a commercial, right? So anything that's a sizzle reel, a trailer, short form marketing, these generative AI tools can definitely remove some of the human support and human jobs. But I'm not there with Neil yet that there's going to be a complete elimination and annihilation of, industry jobs. I think that it could happen, but it's going to take a while. And in the meantime, we're going to see business owners and C-suite level looking to gain profit margins by implementing AI, because it will be faster, cheaper, more effective, and dialing back their amount of middle management and middle support.
See, I think the AI should be taking over for David Zaslav and all the executives. I think they should, that's where we should, that would be the better idea, right?
Well,
just
actually,
let the algorithm
Steve,
make those decisions.
No, but actually that's already happening. They are using the algorithms. I mean, a lot of the studios now, I hadn't even gotten into predictive analysis. I mean, the predictive analysis are really driving what movies they're giving deals to, and the amount that, the MG, the minimum guarantee that they're giving deals to. So if the algorithm shoots out that your top 3 actors attached to your project can only do a limited box office, then they start giving people deals and offers for limited box office. If the algorithm, outputs bigger numbers or a more positive performance, then your deal and your offer from these studios look better. So there is that dynamic already happening. The humans are still there. Like I said, I don't think they're gonna fully replace them, but decision making, even at a high level, is being much more driven by data, because these studios want to maintain their bottom line. That's the business side. It's called TV business, film business, entertainment business for a reason. And they want to maintain their bottom line. And it's less, it's risk advert, less risky to go off of the data and use these, a predictive, analytics. One that I know Warner Brothers did a partnership with Synalytics, and Synalytics is available to everybody if you can afford it. But Warner Brothers did a partnership with them, so that's a perfect example of them using predictive analysis to make business decisions these days.
Sam Altman made that famous quote, which is, we're going to start to see the first unicorn that's a single founder. You have all these creators all over the world who are getting skilled up in AI tools, from developing your own script and show, creating characters. And now you can create the content, and you could get distribution. You could create all the legal forms around it. So Are we going to see a single creator launch a feature film?
Yes. I mean, there's always been that. Like, there's the old school version of that. I think, though, that the quality of what we're going to be seeing now is just going to be, at a higher bar. There's always been those scrappy, independent filmmakers, content creators, even when you just look at influencers. I mean, a lot of these influencers who are very successful, they started out as a one-man, one-woman show, and a Jill or Jack of all trades. But I think that the quality of what you're going to be seeing coming out of them is going to expand. And even on the back end, like, they would just drum up and find some sort of template of a contract and put that together. Now their contracts with AI are going to look like Warner Brothers contracts, so it's that's the difference of, I definitely feel as though, the filmmaker who had an action scene, who had to, do it in a scrappy way. Now they can have an action scene that is almost, close or a version of a doppelganger of, like a 007 or a Jason Bourne action scene. So there is those dynamics of that. But obviously there's a lot of aspects that AI just can't do yet, that when you have a helicopter cinematographer following Tom Cruise jumping off of a cliff, there's just certain things that AI, is not going to generate. So I think that we'll still be able to see a difference, and of what is that professional grade versus AI grade. And I also think that we could probably see awards changing, where there's AI categories for movies, especially if a movie is fully AI generated. Maybe we start having AI categories, even in music. We talk about this in our music episode. It's like, hey, if someone fully generates a hit with all AI, then should there, just how EDM became a category, should AI, fully generated AI music become a category? Right. The beauty with the tech as it advances is now not just Meta and these pre-existing platforms, but now you have certain new startups that allow you to watermark and identify and give serial numbers to the elements that were AI generated. So now we can start tracking AI generated content and then be able to put them in categories where they can get acknowledged and potentially get awards.
All right, so we have a quiz about AI or not. It's on New York Times, and I found this link, and I have not taken the test, and I thought it'd be kind of fun if we take it live, where it shows images and kind of like video GIFs of just visuals, and you have to guess if it's AI generated or not. And I thought it'd be kind of fun because we are all right. We all speak about AI, and we're in the space, so it'd be kind of fun.
Hopefully we see the letters and the fingers, because right now that's usually the first giveaways. Letters and fingers.
Always what we look for. Yeah.
We're going to start an AI company called Fingers. And that's all it does.
Six finger consulting.
Yeah.
Like literally, you guys better start that before someone hops on it, because that's genius. I don't know why, but every platform has issues with hands and fingers and toes. So if you can just get together a full database of real hands and toes, you're winning.
Yeah.
I love generating pictures of sandals. It's my favorite.
Well, I think if we launch an app and it's all of the like you actually program it so it has all the hallucinations in it, then it becomes more like chat roulette. If you remember that from way back in the day, you would kind of end up in a chat room with someone you've never met before, and then you had like 15 seconds. Yeah. So I think it's going to be a feature. Like a bug is the feature. So I think we should launch
add on
6 fingers or yeah. We got 37 fingers. So.
All right. You guys ready for the first one? Here we go. Runway model.
AI or not?
You got a runway model.
I'm going to say, I've been watching a lot of, I think it's AI, because I've been watching a lot of like runway shows, and like there's all those like, they like generate all that stuff with like Kim Jong-un and like, like all, have you seen all those?
Yeah, little babies.
Yeah.
So, little babies walking the runway. This is 100%.
The only reason I'm going to say it's AI is because the side people are not looking at the model walking; they're looking straight.
Oh, good call. And they're all the way right up to the screen too. Good call.
Yeah, I'm saying it's AI.
All right, so Chad, what do you say?
Oh, 100% AI.
Okay, Sarah?
AI.
And Aisha?
AI.
AI.
Okay, so everybody said AI. I'm going to go with AI. I'm going to go with AI as well. There you go.
Yay.
There's your answer.
Yep.
Generated by AI.
The audience was a dead giveaway.
Number 2, is this video game real or an AI fantasy?
Oh man, video game is hard. Come on.
That's so hard.
First-person shooter game. I don't know enough video games to know if this is actually a real video game or not, but that looks like a giant crab. So it's not battle. It's not like
I thought it was a scene from Princess Bride
I'm like it.
when they're in the fire
Yeah,
swamp.
I'm like it's not like Grand Theft Auto or Madden.
What do we say?
I think it's a game.
I'm trying to look at the movement. God, video game and AI is so close. It's this is a hard one. Just to be,
I'll say AI. I'll just say
yeah,
AI.
I was gonna say just to be different from Chad. I was gonna say AI and kind of split the difference here.
Yeah.
Good.
Let's see.
Okay, Aisha's going AI. Chad, you're saying it's real. Sarah?
AI.
All right, I'll go with not AI. Not AI.
Let's see. We got a 50-50% chance. Let's say. Oh,
Generated by
it's
AI.
There you go.
All right.
I guess that
Next.
one. I guess that one. I can't take that one as a real win.
Yeah, same.
All right, next one. A basketball player.
Oh, okay. I work with a lot of athletes right now, so I better get this one right.
Watch the fingers.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Does she have 4 fingers and a thumb? Oh, her hands look real.
Looks real, yeah.
If it's not real,
ready.
this generative AI really got the hands down. But I think I'm going to say this is not AI purely off the hands. And the drums, like the musicians who are playing too, their hands look pretty legit.
Yeah, the shadows look pretty
Yeah,
real.
this is not AI.
Agreed. Not AI.
I'm going to go with not AI. Chad?
I'm gonna go with AI just to
be controversial.
just to be
Yes,
different.
Chad,
Yeah.
do it. Yes.
All right. All right.
Like nobody shoots threes like that.
The answer?
Oh.
Not AI.
AI.
Not made by
Not
AI tools. This was an ad produced by Nike.
Nice.
That's Sabrina.
my-
That's Sabrina.
Never heard of
My
it.
sports, my athlete sports clients are going to be very happy I got that one right. Cool.
Number 4, a demolition.
Oh,
That is AI.
Yeah.
yeah, no, this is AI. They would never do a demolition simultaneously like that, right? With buildings so close together.
I'm going to be controversial. I'm going to say not AI.
I think this got to be AI. If it's not AI, this
You're
is
going
nuts.
real?
I'm going complete. Yeah. I know.
This is where Sarah is right now. So she's like, this is real.
This is happening live, guys.
This is kind of tough.
This would be a gnarly way to do a demolition with all these buildings happening simultaneously.
But I've watched a lot of those demolition videos, and it's like
Well, why is there a tree in there? It's not like Bob Ross is painting this.
because it's the
It's the
point
angle.
of view.
Yeah,
Someone's
yeah, it's
filming
saying
from
it's the
some
angle.
hilltop somewhere. Yeah.
But I just don't.
That's a weird
Yeah,
angle.
I just don't
Say
see.
real.
I just don't see the
Bob
the
Ross. There's no
parameter.
wind. There's no wind on the trees.
I just don't see any parameters, like parameters around like a demolition site. I just don't see that around it. So I'm saying AI.
Yeah.
All right.
Fake.
So, Chad, you're going fake AI. Aisha, what was your answer?
AI. Fake news, Steve. Fake news.
I think that's real.
You think it's
Real.
real? Okay. I will go. We'll split it.
Going real.
I'll go with Sarah as well.
Great.
Yes.
No way.
See that point of view behind the tree, Chad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Moving on. Is this a real TikTok personality? Let's see if I
It's a
can.
weird chin from the side.
I'm gonna say yes because I think I've seen his profile on TikTok. I'm gonna say this is real.
The ceiling fan is making me want to say it's real.
He just looks like a lot of TikTokers. A lot of TikTokers look like this, but I feel like he's real. And he says Suki. What up, Suki? I don't think AI would say Suki.
I think he's real.
Oh, something just happened weird with the fan. Did you see that?
Yeah, it moved. I'm gonna say it's.
I'm gonna say that's AI.
But
Yeah.
the fan moved?
Yeah.
Well, because it's a jump cut. No,
Yeah.
it's because the edit's a jump cut, right?
Yeah. Chad, we're saying AI. AI.
Let's
All right,
do it.
I'm saying-
I got 1 minute of battery
I'm
left.
saying not AI.
So,
I'm saying not AI.
Okay.
All right, final
Not
answer.
AI.
Let's see.
Okay, here we go. Nope.
Oh, it's
I was
AI.
wrong.
Chad
It was
and
generated by
Sarah are
AI.
right. Wow.
Fan.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Well, Aisha, this has been awesome. Thank you for playing along.
Thanks for joining us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
It's been great. Thank
It was
you.
Yeah, it's
great chatting with you guys about all the craziness of AI and entertainment, and look forward to connecting with you guys again.
Before I go, I want to talk just a little bit about that Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson debacle on Netflix last week.
Streaming giant Netflix is being issued a class action in relation to the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight. TMZ reports the lawsuit is over streaming issues and a breach of contract. Thousands of viewers claim they had trouble watching the fight. Netflix is yet to comment.
Netflix's first foray into pseudo live sports with the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson boxing event produced mixed results. I guess it depends your perspective. The repeated technical issues and bad reception during the stream and the, quite frankly, terrible fight between the two of them undoubtedly frustrated many viewers. But for Netflix, they report 60 million concurrent streams. And so for them, it's undoubtedly an impressive number, and they're touting it as a success. This high viewership demonstrates the potential draw for live events. And certainly, we've got 2 NFL games coming up on Christmas, and they are definitely excited about that. But the technical hiccups have to be concerning for the streaming giant. To be clear, the legendary boxer Muhammad Ali, arguably the greatest of all time, was featured in 6 live television broadcasts that reached over 1 billion viewers. And after decades of flawless live sports coverage, fans are used to a certain quality of broadcast. I will stress that of those 6 live television broadcasts that got over 1 billion viewers, there were no breakdowns in the broadcast. So as Netflix faces live NFL on Christmas and then next year live WWE, they face some serious challenges on the technical side, as well as what really will be a broadcasting challenge. Can they deliver a dynamic show? Because the Tyson Paul show was boring. It didn't have great talent on it. Rosie Perez, are you serious? Why is she your talent for your very first foray into boxing? So the question remains whether Netflix can learn from this experience and improve its live streaming capabilities for future events, especially with the NFL, the most popular sport in America, coming up on Christmas Day. And don't forget, Beyonce is performing at halftime for the Texans game. So they got to get this right. All right, that's going to do it for another episode of No Script, No Problem. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe, download, and rate it with 5 stars. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Podcasts, Stitcher, and TuneIn. You can also find it at Believe.com and at Believe Podcast. Follow me on X at Steve Berkowitz and on Threads or Instagram at Steve M. Berkowitz. I'm also on Blue Sky. I don't know my handle or anything, but just, look me up on Blue Sky. If you have questions, hit me up, no script, no problem, podcast at gmail.com. If you're interested in advertising on the show, please contact Believe at Believe.com. Thanks for listening. Until next time, I'm Steve Berkowitz for No Script, No Problem.